Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. We are excited to have Holly and her team with us, and they are going to be presenting on May the 4th be with you, all things techie. And so before I pass it over to Holly and her team, just as a reminder, we are recording this webinar and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And if you do have any questions along the way during the discussion, please feel free to type them into the questions box and we'll answer them as we go. So now I will kick it over to Holly to start our presentation.
Thanks, Angie. Thank you guys for joining us. We're really glad to have you come alongside us on this very special day. And as Angie said, May the 4th be with you. And we do love our technology and thought it was a great opportunity to do one of our lunch and learns where we chatted with you about all things techie and what we love about technology. I know one of my favorite parts of our day at Innovia on the support team is when we get together as a team and someone will inevitably share some really cool trick or tip or website that they've found on the internet or something new in Business Central. And it's a lot of fun. Always my favorite part of our day is when we learn some new little trinket along the way from each other. So every day we're learning something new and finding out new things about the internet and about the web and about technology and about our Business Central offerings. And so what a great opportunity to just get together and chat and share some of the things that we love and that we like to do and some of the tricks we found along the way from each other. So I invite my team to jump in and let's just have a great conversation. If you're out there listening with us, we want you to participate as well. So share your questions or ideas or thoughts with us along the way. If you put those in the chat, like Angie said, we'll call those out and be glad to address them or talk about them too. So again, thank you all. Who wants to jump in? Anybody got something they want to share?
I'll jump into it. So one of the things that I really have loved technology-wise, but it's more really a NAV technology, is configurations. This is something that for me, I was just like, oh, it would be really cool if these things could really work. And everybody thinks configurations are just plain setups and not truly a tech thing. But I found that that little piece ultimately opens the door to so many pieces that the users can ultimately use to increase their functionality within their job, and how that plays together with training new people. So oftentimes with technology, we find that as we're training new people, everybody sees things differently. It makes it very hard to kind of teach people, especially in a system where you can customize everything and anything. And using the configuration packages, or sorry, not packages, configuration mode, allows the user to actually create customized profiles so that when they hire new people, everybody starts out with the same basic screen, but it's not just basic how most people see it. It's something that ultimately you put to a specific user based off of a more seasoned user. Now, the downside to this is it is not available in its standard normal form on Business Central. So one of the things that we have discussed ultimately is how does that play into moving forward with Business Central? And Des and I have had multiple conversations with that, and how your voice as an individual within this system and within Microsoft can be heard. So Des and I really pushed, and we want you to understand that this little piece is a small piece that exists in your on-prem versions, but as a SaaS user, maybe you haven't been able to get your screens to customize the way you want them. So Des, if you want to kind of talk about that a little bit more and how they can actually use their voice to push that technology forward.
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick show my screen here. Let me know when you can see it.
We can see you.
Okay, good. So Marguerite, I think you were talking about like configuration mode, right, for on-prem. And that's that fun thing that we can put, start up a role tailor client by a profile, and any change that we make to that profile would be rolled out to anybody assigned to the profile, right? And that helps streamline, like you say, all of the activities that my my company's sales process or customer service process, order entry process. I can do things from organizing the sales order fields from left to right, top to bottom, removing tabs, adding tabs, as well as, what we see on all of our little options up here. And that is key, like you were saying, for streamlining the look and feel and the experience, basically, that the application provides to your end users. And it also makes it nice and consistent, and the training is a lot easier because Holly's screen looks like this and the button's in the upper left, but my screen, that same button's in the upper right. So we're always telling people to search for stuff. Well, Business Central, you said it, it does have config mode, kind of. And I'm going to just preface this with, it's so far we found it, but it is an undocumented feature. What I mean by that is it may not be fully supported. I did try to roll this out with one client, and it worked for some, not all users. So I don't have an explanation for that, but I am going to just at least show you how to do that. If I search for profiles and open up, just the accountant profile. So it's by profile. And then if I say customize pages, it's going to open up a new tab. And this is now, in config mode. So before, you opened up the RTC on the on-prem versions in configuration mode, and it had a little tab in the upper right-hand corner that said you're in config mode. So be careful. But now I enter as config mode, and I can start moving things around, and I can hide this, or maybe I don't want to see hello. I want to hide that. And the thing is, now I'm hiding this for every user that's assigned to, see in the upper left corner here, the customer or the accountant profile. And I've used this, we all love the saved lists, right? And I've used this for filtering down my purchase orders for the received not invoiced, or received and partially invoiced, or purchase orders with an order date prior to a month ago with absolutely no activity. That way I've got little buckets of saved views for all of the purchasing department, so they can now, get closer to their data a lot faster. So, and then once I make my changes, I say done, and it gives me this little notice that says, okay, you've done that successfully, but you're going to have to close the tab. And then you should see the changes. Let's go to the main menu and see if it took. Yep. Oh. It's going to Okay, maybe I have to log back in. But like I said earlier, this is one of those undocumented features. Oh, you know what? I don't know that I'm assigned that profile. Let's see. No. Nope, I wasn't assigned to that one. I think I'm actually configuring in configuration mode.
And Des, I have to say, and Holly, you'll laugh, I don't know if you noticed what was sitting there was Holly's very customized profile.
Yes, 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 yes.
So that was one thing that was always nice, was when we would have users come up to Holly's desk, or if she was presenting, she would often have this really custom screen that people would be like, oh my goodness, how did you get that there? And they never realized that. And it's just, as technology kept changing, they kept, you know, making the changes that allowed users to do that. And it became so, you know, prevalent within our business that almost every user ended up starting with one of these customized profiles that they could then customize further.
I really think it's important, especially during an upgrade or a rollout or an initial rollout, because it really does streamline what users are seeing. They're getting, it's a new system or a new application, and it's all so brand new. And dang it, I just want to know what I need to do my job and not be bombarded with so many buttons all over. And it's so helpful to just streamline. You know, I used to organize the buttons at the top of a sales order according to that company's specific process. If the first thing you do is send it for approval, that's the top left. Very next button over to the right is, you know, or no, first it would be, you know, release or send it for approval. And then it would be send the order confirmation, and then, you know, post, and then, or whatever our specific processes are from left to right. You know, it's just, it helps your users, and it helps the adoption process for new users or new products that we're trying to push out to our staff. So now,
yeah, and it's not even just that it's for new users. So one thing that we implemented at our company on the user side was that people were often cross-trained on positions. So they would sit with myself and 2 other purchasers. Well, guess what? Every one of our screens looked completely different because we each used a completely different profile. So when you're trying to train somebody or just have them kind of see and look and say, well, why do you do it that way? All of us are doing things completely different because our buttons are in different places. And it started becoming very confusing for anybody to be able to give you any kind of insight as far as how to improve the flow of your job too.
Right. So remember how, you know, it's pretty stable. You were talking about on the on-prem version of configuration mode. That's tried and true. It's been around since 2009. It's stable. But as I alluded to in Business Central, it's kind of an undocumented feature. It's still technically under development, in air quotes. And then this is where our end users really come into play. The pendulum has finally swung, and Microsoft now pays a heck of a lot of attention to our customers, and more so than the partners. So you now have an avenue where you can make suggestions for changes or improvements to the base application. I'm going to go to this website here, and then I'll also put it in our chat. But this is how I would say 90% of any of the new features or functionality that comes out in each release, this is where it comes from. It's from the suggestions by end users. And what they do, once you submit a topic, they'll take, see how there's different votes here? They'll take the tickets that have the top votes. So I'm going to back out here. So you can see all of the different categories on the improvements and how many people have voted so far. And see, there's things in here that where we need votes on. They even track how many ideas have been submitted versus implemented. So you can see, you know, this gentleman submitted 4 and 3 ideas got implemented. And then I'll go back out to the main menu. But you can see, you know, top authors of this whole entire suggestion. Yeah, Kevin Pons. He's got a lot of ideas. It should work this way. So if you really like the configuration mode, or fill in the blank here, your favorite area of the system, put your suggestion in. I'm telling you, 90% of the improvements get implemented that are suggested by, you guys, the end users.
That's true.
So,
The 3 I had on my list to talk about in the one that's coming up on May 10th, when it starts to roll out, are ones that users sent in ideas for.
yeah.
So really cool. Also, if they are in Business Central SaaS, you could get there right from your screen. So if you go back to Business Central, we could go to the help page and you could get to that ideas page right from there. And your question mark,
yes. Yeah.
help report, and then partway down on that screen, you'll see the ideas.
I'm looking. Partway down.
Give feedback.
Huh? Oh, give feedback right in the middle?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
And it'll take you right there. So if you're already in Business Central SaaS, you can get there right from your screen. While you're working, you have an idea, you can just jump in there and share your ideas, which makes it real handy.
Perfect. Thanks. I didn't know to look there.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And like I said, 3 of the ideas that when I read the release notes that I was excited about, 2 of them were ideas that came from end users that submitted those ideas. And one was that correct dimensions on GL entries. That is fabulous. And so that's in the rollout that is coming up. So they did send out that they're going to begin updating tenants again on May 10th. So next week, we'll start seeing that version 18 rollout for the SaaS world. And you'll have that correct, your dimensions on your GL entry. So if somebody forgets them or puts the wrong ones, you'll be able to go in and easily update those and correct those going forward, which I thought was fabulous. They've rolled out mail merge. So those of you who are older like me and are willing to age yourself and date yourself, you remember back in Word when you would write a beautiful document and then you would mail merge it and it would bring in everybody's salutation and their addresses and company information, maybe an account number to that mail merge, and you can print out those documents. Now you'll be able to use mail merge with Business Central SaaS. So you can create that beautiful document in Word and attach it to Business Central through an application, and it will pull all of that information from your contacts in Business Central right into mail merge. So that's pretty cool. And then the last one that I was excited about in the release notes, I've been talking about since they first came out with Teams, and I said someday they are going to connect Teams to NAV. Back then it was still NAV. I said, I just know it. We're going to see it happen where it's going to all be inclusive. And so with the release coming out on May 10th, Teams does have, you can already download it. So you can download your Business Central app into Teams, and it will connect you to your production environment or your sandbox, and it will pull in your contacts and your information from Business Central, where you can use it to create meetings, start meetings, share contact information with each other in a meeting or in a chat, and see your customers' information on the screen right there. So I thought that was pretty cool too, because I'm a Teams.
That's a good, it's good that you brought that up, about the releases and stuff, because one of the things that I was going to kind of just touch on today is the site for, each of the releases, and then, major updates and stuff like that, and the links to get to, what's going to be released when, and then what's included on those releases. So we've got the 2020 Wave 1, and then all the past ones with a link to each of those with what's changing. Do you have a different website that you go to for this, Holly?
No, that's the one.
This is it, yeah. Bin codes and jobs. Ooh.
There was a lot numbers, pun intended, but I don't work a lot with the lot numbers, other than I know we have a lot of tickets where lot numbers are stuck, broken, or have another issue or wrong. Yeah. But there's a lot in this upcoming version around that whole assigning lot numbers and bin codes and all that good stuff. So our inventory and warehousing people should be pretty excited.
Yeah, I haven't seen this list, so I'm getting a little excited to look into some of these things.
Yeah.
But each topic has the date release and stuff, so. And the users should get an email, right? If it's going to affect them. Someone at their company usually gets notified, maybe?
If they are on the notifications in their system, then they'll get notices.
Got it.
From there. So that's in their admin. So customers that we set up, we generally will ask them who they want to have on those notices. And then we also have support on all of our clients' notices from Business Central SaaS. That way we document in our system when there is an upgrade scheduled or done, or if it happens to fail and we need to address an extension or talk to an ISV about why it might have failed. We have that right in our hands as soon as it's happening.
Got it. I just put that link in the chat for everybody too. Cool.
Anybody else have some good stuff they want to share?
Well, I was going to talk about the dimension corrections also, but you're one step ahead of me. So I found that to be a really neat feature too. That's going to be really good for all our financing users out there.
Right. When I saw it, dimension corrections, wow.
Yeah, that's going to be really good for them. I mean, so many users say, oh, I think it's this dimension, I'll add it to admin, and then they don't think it all the way through, and then gets to the finance or accounting or auditing, and they're like, hey, this should not be here at this dimension. So that's going to be really pleasant for everybody.
What does it do, Tracy?
It's going to correct the dimension at the general ledger entries. So if a user chose a wrong dimension or a dimension that was not fit for the transaction, an accountant can go into the general ledger entries and correct those dimensions and those dimension values now after posting.
Got it. And it probably noodles through to all ledgers, like item or customer, vendor, job.
Right. Or just that one transaction even.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, or just to the GL.
Right. Just at any GL ledger entry for one transaction, you can go in and correct the dimensions.
Oh, so it wouldn't correct.
No, it's not updating all dimension values. It's just per transaction. If one of the dimensions was incorrect, an accountant can go in now and correct that dimension at the general ledger entries.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be kind of neat. That's a nice feature.
Yep. A couple other updates around dimensions in there too, to definitely look at in the upgrade. Another one that was really neat was in the last release, we had been doing customizations for customers around merging customers, merging vendors, merging items in the system, merging GL accounts where they accidentally ended up with two and they want to merge them together to be one. And it's a little tricky because it's not just merging the information on those customer cards, but also all their transactional information behind them. Same with vendors and items. And in the last release, Microsoft made it. I says, I knew we should have done that app before they got a hold of it, but I don't know if somebody shared it in the ideas or how it got there, but it's now part of the Business Central SaaS world that you can do that right on your customer screens and do those merges.
Well, I could take us in a little different direction as far as technology and things I like about it. I think one of the things we all use collectively, regardless on what team, what profession we're in, is Google. Searching Google is amazing because of how much it's literally our entire history's worth of information, and it's all in one spot, and it doesn't matter what it is. But it's gotten so big lately that sometimes it's really hard to find what you're looking for, or get it a little bit more narrowed down because of such broad terms. And I would suggest just a few little things with it. If you type in, let's say, Mustang in your Google search bar, you're going to get a collection of horses, cars, and some other interesting things. Where if you type in Mustang and then use the minus sign and then type in Mustang, so minus car, all of a sudden the first couple searches are, all of a sudden you realize that there's a county in a Mustang County or a Mustang City in Oklahoma. You are going to find out a few about the horses. Mustang is a company that makes life survival jackets. So there's some different ways and different things to be able to use Google with to help you search more narrowly and more specifically on what you're doing. The minus is a good way to eliminate words. You can also use quotes to make it a full word. A good example that I've seen on a few different sites is puppy dog sweaters. If you do not put those in quotes, you can get a lot of random different websites. Or if you do put the term in quotes, that entire term has to be in there. There's features such as related. If you find a website that you like, you can actually just type in related and then put a colon and put in your Walmart.com or Amazon.com, and it's going to bring up all sites that are very similar to that. I've also found it with NAV. Now you say set up a user, and that could mean so many things. The first couple results are going to be more Windows based and go on. But if you put set up user in quotes and then you put the plus symbol, meaning to include NAV, the first several pages, that's all you're going to get is how to set up users in NAV. And so I use this not every time, but quite frequently, at least once a day. I'll use an advanced search feature in Google because it helps eliminate a lot of the weeds in the background and really helps me target what I'm focusing on. You can do this down to specific pages, or hey, you find a site, you really like the knowledge inside of that site. Well, you can actually just search within that site with a URL, and it'll actually go in and search those. You can actually search in text, which means that you don't necessarily care what the keywords that they built the website with. You actually want to know that those 5 words in combination are somewhere in the text on that website. And it'll actually go through the cache sites and actually look for a website that's got that right in the text of the page that when it's opened. And so that's just a few things. You can Google it to learn a little more, but learning how to use the search features in Google can really either strengthen your ability to find what you're looking for or cut down a lot of the time by sifting through some of the garbage that comes up with it. And so that's something I just wanted to share is, Google's an amazing thing as far as searching out there. Learning how to use it can make it even a more powerful tool than it already is.
So, Taylor, that was your search with a minus sign with specifically what you're after, or putting it in quotes, or
yeah, there's about 50 different syntax or elevators inside of Google. So yeah, the minus means exclude. So like, see if you do Mustang, then put a space and then hit minus car. It's going to search for everything to do with Mustangs, but eliminate all your Ford
not
Mustang.
cars. Okay.
Yeah, and then or you could do plus car, and then it's only going to search for things with Mustang and car. Another neat one that I use, it's not used too often, but it is pretty neat. You can use the or function. A good example is if you're looking for, let's say, a recipe, you want to use shrimp or scallops. Well, you can literally type in shrimp or scallops and it will give you recipes for both instead of having to do a search on one and then search on another. A lot of people are used to the zip code, so you can type in weather in a zip code or weather in a city.
Oh yeah.
Area code, and it'll give you that. If we all order stuff online, you can just type in USPS and then the tracking number. A lot of times just the tracking number, and it'll bring that up. So there's just a lot of different ways that you can actually use Google to help it work better for you instead of just giving you our typical, at the end of each search result, 408 million pages have been found with your search term. Well, how do you narrow that down? There's just tips out there to be able to do it. I think a lot of people that I've talked to just don't quite know that there are those different search features, and kind of find a couple that you like, and it could make your day and life a little bit easier.
Well, especially when you're searching, Business Central topics or NAV topics.
Yeah,
and it has to cross the different versions. I just did the same search you just described about the users, and it came up with nothing but the users, and it didn't get clobbered with all kinds of other stuff like other companies trying to sell me NAV or Business Central. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. A good one with that, on the support team, we're very aware. Okay, we know between NAV 2013 and NAV 2017, this feature existed. Well, you can actually go in there, and if you just like in Nav, there's that shortcut, you could put 2013.17, and it will search for NAV 2013 through NAV 14, NAV 2015, NAV 2016, NAV 2017. So you can actually use it just like that, and just by putting 2 dots in between 2 numbers, it will search for everything in between those 2 numbers. So you won't have to do, search NAV 2013, then search NAV 2014. So there are different ways to use it. And I like to bring attention to it whenever I can, that again, we all use Google. It's an amazing tool. It can work smarter and better and harder for us just by adding a few little indicators.
Cool.
Wildcard is another great one. The example that I've seen the most of is with song lyrics. But if you have missing words, we all have had that where we know 5 of the words, but there's 9 of them in there. Well, you can actually just put asterisks, and it'll keep that as a wild card. And so it'll actually fill in. It'll allow that to be any word in that variable. So it will actually put together lists for you without having to just put a space in there. Because if you just leave a space, it doesn't know that there's something supposed to be there. By adding an asterisk, it allows it to know, okay, there's supposed to be a word here. We just don't know what quite word that might be. So that's another little unique little feature that has helped before.
So some of your same different tags and things that work in Nav for us will work also in Google. Who knew? Who knew that would happen?
Thanks, Taylor.
Right? Other ideas, tips and tricks, they can be big or small. I always go back to, I was working on Nav as a new young Navi apprentice back in the day. I was entering deposits and, line after line, 200 plus checks, and every line, you have to put in the date. So, 03, 08, 08. Next line. And every line I would put 03-08-08. And it was my partner walking behind me and stopped to watch me. And I thought for sure she was going to say I didn't know what I was doing and tell my boss to fire me. But what she was doing is watching me keep putting the date in over and over. And then she says, Holly, there's an easier way to do that and not have to type that date in. So she taught me to use T for today. And then also, if it's the same as it is above, use F8. And boy, did that change my world pretty instantly. You imagine 200 times typing that and not having to type it at all anymore, how much time it saved on doing deposits just to eliminate those 6 keystrokes. So little tricks like that are big to people. And I know they are to us when we get together in our meetings and someone shares something, some little trick along the way to help us. Other ones you just got?
Yeah, I would say something here. Means as a developer, I'm working from last 20 years as a nav developer. And what I most like in Business Central SaaS version is like if the Microsoft release any hotfix or any minor or major release, now they can push direct into the Business Central SaaS version. We don't need to do any manual upgrade or like, in the old version, we have like cumulative update. So we have to do like manual merge. If there is a major release, then we have to do like data upgrade and all those things. But now in this version, like we don't need to worry about anything like those kind of things. We just have to worry about only our extension or customizations that we develop on that version. So once it's released and if it's pushed into the client database, we just need to make sure, okay, all our customization is just working as per the new version or not. That's all, So that's, I think it's very big plus point in the Business Central, I can say, as a developer perspective.
Yes, I agree. It rolls out every month. There's a small update and rollout. Those are your cumulative updates. And then twice a year, the large upgrades. And they roll out, and either we get a notification saying it was successful in the morning, or it failed, and it tells us where it failed. And like I said, then, you know, we get with the developers and we fix the extension if it's a customized extension. If it's an ISV, we get with the ISV and work with them to get that corrected. And then we reschedule your upgrade and off it goes. And so everybody's always on the latest, greatest version, which is really nice. I know sometimes that in NAV, people would put off doing those cumulative updates. Most people don't do them at all unless they absolutely have to, because it's expensive and painful to do. And then when we do end up having to do them because something's broken and is bad, they can be very costly and time consuming to get them done. So I agree. It is really nice. I didn't think that they would ever really pull it off, but they certainly have.
Yeah.
I think the cumulative upgrade process was so difficult that people would sometimes try and pick just a piece of it that they needed and end up causing more damage. I love the new update and the way that it is pushed out and that it doesn't run into the issues that it used to.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going very well. And I think as people move into the Business Central SaaS world away from the old NAV versions, they're going to be extremely pleased. Pleased with both the upgrades that happen behind the scenes and you just wake up on the new version and no big giant project, and also with the cool features, because, you know, twice a year, there's always some new cool features, at least twice a year on the bigger releases. And sometimes there's even some cool ones that actually get in on those smaller releases. So they're always listening. They're always looking at the idea page that Desiree shared, and they're willing to roll those out. So they're listening to their users, and they're putting stuff in the product that we want to see, which is really nice. Good stuff. Anybody else have something they want to share? Going once, going twice. If that's all we have for today, Angie, if you can make it so I can share my screen, I might be able to from here.
Give me one moment, Holly. There you go.
Yep, there we go. Let's see which screen I want. So we'll finish then, and if somebody thinks of something after my, you know, last hurrah, jump right in as we're finishing up. But when I'm bored and lonely, I'm to see if it works. I got it to work once, Taylor. I told him I think him and Tony blocked me. But when I'm bored or I just need a little bit of break from things that are going on, I go back to Google, and my favorite thing to do is play Breakout in my spare time. So I type in Atari Breakout in my Google search bar, and then I switch over to images. Let's see if it'll roll.
Now, Holly, you have to go back and then actually click on the link there. It'll bring up the images of what you're looking for. So yeah, just click on that, and there's your, that should be your game.
And you can look at that. That's my favorite techie thing that I ever saw happen was it convert the images into Atari Breakout.
So how do you play that? You're moving your mouse back and forth to move the bar?
Yep.
I don't know.
Holly, you're really good at this.
I was trying to make
I think your paddle needs to be wider.
So whenever anybody sees me and Holly in a meeting for an hour.
Oh, how funny.
And it gets faster as you go along.
right?
So, did you guys not play this on Atari? I know that Holly and I are not the only people of that age.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never heard of it.
I played it
I've
on
never heard of
Atari.
it.
Self now. Isn't that funny? Remember
That's
the
hilarious.
clowns? Clowns were fun too.
Oh, Pong, Asteroids, Space Invader,
Yeah.
Centipede. That was my
Centipede.
favorite.
Was it?
Oh yeah, I love Centipede.
My
Kevin
favorite
Even
was
Clifford's,
have I even
Galaga.
have that one on my iPad. I love that one.
Kevin Clifford's meetings are the ones that I get bored in, and then I play Atari while he's talking.
I still play
Get
Simon.
it?
Simon, remember Simon?
Yes. I
My
do.
favorite was Galaga.
Galaga. Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pitfall.
That was good. That was fun too.
So, fun stuff. That's our last hurrah. Anybody else have any parting words or something you want to share? Everybody's good? Well, it's
Yeah.
been fun to get together for lunch as always and just chat about fun stuff and about techie stuff. I am a Chewbacca fan. That's my favorite character. Anyone else want to share their favorite characters?
Definitely Han Solo.
Oh,
Han Solo or Indiana Jones.
Right?
Yep. We
I'm
might be
good with
dating
Han Solo,
ourselves.
but I think that I'm really about Baby Yoda right now. So,
oh, yeah. Everybody loves Baby Yoda, don't they?
oh, they do. It's so cute.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, thank you guys again. You guys are a blast to hang out with and be with. And so for me, this is no problem. We hope everybody listening and that watches the recording has a good time and enjoys and learned a little something. Look forward to our next one that will be in the summer. So thanks, everyone. Angie, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you taking the time out. And we look forward to your next one coming up in the summer. But before we go, I just want to let everyone know that we do have a new round of training workshops that is available to you and your team members to attend. So you can visit our training workshop page at innovia.com/workshops for more information and to register for the training workshop that fits your role. And we do have webinars coming up. We have one more this week on Thursday, the 6th. We have Task Factory, and they will be presenting on mobile production management for Microsoft Dynamics 365 BC and NAV. And next Tuesday, May 11th, we have Jeff Progulski from Innovia Consulting, and he's going to be presenting on get the most out of your IT spending with Microsoft Azure. So check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. And we do have a podcast that's going on. If you haven't heard of it already, it's called the Innovia Conversation. And Jeff Progulski, one of our hosts, as well as Steve Waltz, would like to share what they have to offer every time that they do a podcast. So you can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out that selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when those new episodes air. All right, everyone, we thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you all.